Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, on this week's, unscripted, behind the scenes kind of thing, I want to talk about how some days I'm autistic and some days I have autism. So, what do I mean by that? So, some days I'm autistic and some days I have autism. What I mean is, some days the diagnosis defines the day. I know a lot of people are like, you have to use person forward talk. Well, sure, that's nice and all, but as a person who lives with the disability, it can be disabling. Sometimes a disability defines your day. It doesn't have to define you, but sometimes it does. For a day. Your disability or disabilities, one or more, can define a day. It's really unfortunate, but that's why they're called disabilities, because they can disable you. And I know that can be really hard for people who don't have, say, autism or Ehlers-Danlos or some other disability to really grasp is how can this particular thing or that particular thing shut you down for one or more days. I recognize that. But it's a thing. That's why it's categorized as a disability. And that's why in some situations it's disabling for some individuals. That's why, for me, some days I'm autistic. Some days I wake up and I'm like trying to get through my morning, but certain things are hard. Some days having things out of place, some days my obsessive compulsive disorder is more difficult for me to deal with. That's another thing. Things being out of line, daily procedures being, thrown into a jumble, really throws my brain into a jumble, and it's harder for me to process and harder for me to pull myself back together. That's disabling. Because it takes a lot of energy to recover from that it shouldn't. But that's why it's called a disability, is because the amount is disproportionate. And there's neurological reasons for it. It's not like you just sit down and you're like, oh, get over yourself. I've worked on that. You can't just flip a switch. It'd be nice. I'd love to. I really would. Do you know how many times I've sat around and gone, I wish I could just shut it off? Yeah, it'd be nice. You can't. I wish you could, sometimes. There's certain parts about me that I love. But I digress. So, there are some days where parts of my autism diagnoses, part of me that is autistic, that has autism, can be very defining of me for that day. So again, for the last time, I guess, in this little semi-short video, there are some days where I will call myself autistic, as opposed to using that so enforced with a hammer, you have to say it this way. Well, some days I'm not. Some days that thing defines the day. Some days that thing is what has control, unfortunately. And that's why it's called a disability. Thank you very much. And I recognize some people don't have to live with it, or they might not have to live with it to the extent that some of us do. Or they might not see the extent that some of us have to live with it because you look normal. I know. I know I do. And I've played the part. I've played the game. I've hidden the pain. I've sat, I've broken down. I've fallen apart. I've been I've spent time for, we'll go over in another story time, some of the consequences of playing the game, of wearing the mask that everybody else wants you, that, society has expected us to wear for so long. Why haven't I seen, we'll get there. I'll talk about that. Why haven't you seen? Yeah. Because they hide us away sometimes when we don't operate anymore. Surprise. Some days it defines us. That's our reality. That's my reality. But it doesn't need to stop us. But some days it defines us, and some days it does stop us, and that's okay. And if it does for you, it's okay. It's okay to take care of yourself. I didn't always know I had autism. If you have autism, and some days it stops you in your tracks, maybe it stops you in your tracks more days than it doesn't. And maybe people are giving you a hard time for it. You know what? Don't listen to them. Listen to me for a moment. It's okay. You have value. What you are going through is real. The struggles you are dealing with are real. I don't care what anyone else says. Your struggles are real. They matter. You matter. You are worth it. Your life is worth it. You contribute no matter what anyone else says. I don't care who they are. You are valued. You are important. You contribute. You are awesome, wonderful, beautiful, and you are loved. And if some days are hard, if some days are brutal, if some days slow you down, if some days are debilitating, pick up the pieces however you need to. Take care of yourself. Nurture your wounds however you need to. Get through the day. Because if you don't get through the day, there can't be a brighter tomorrow. And you are worth brighter tomorrows. We need you. Because you are worth it, and this world needs you. We need you. Okay? Even if the day is defined by your disability. Even if it's not autism, even if it's not Ehlers-Danlos or obsessive compulsive disorder or something else, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be autism. All of these things apply to you no matter what you have going on. All right? I'll see you next time. Hang in there.